Hey everyone, welcome to the Self-Awareness Journey podcast. I'm Melissa Albers.
And I'm JJ Parker. This podcast is for seekers of happiness, joy, and a centered approach to success in life. Seekers of their true, authentic selves.
Get ready for some real talk on everything from anxiety, emotions, and habits to love, compassion, and forgiveness. We know you'll be challenged and enlightened by this conversation, and we're so glad you're here. Let's dive in.
We are doing performance reviews, our annual performance reviews at work.
I didn't know that. Oh, this is such a hard time of year.
Is it? Why?
Yes.
For performance
gosh.
reviews?
Yes.
As
People
a coach,
normally do not
now
like
we're going to
them.
get into some Melissa business coaching stuff.
Most leaders.
You don't like this late summer coaching or performance review slot?
Who creates performance reviews in late summer?
When else are you going to do them?
Anytime.
Any other
Except
time.
for late summer or the holidays. If you want to make it a little harder, even, why don't you just do it at Christmas? A lot of people actually do.
Your performance will be on Christmas Eve. You better show up.
Yeah, at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
That's when your meeting is.
Okay.
And we're going to tell you all the stuff you're doing wrong. Merry Christmas.
Okay. Well, I didn't want to get an opinion about when we're having performance reviews, but
sorry.
here we are.
Oh, my apologies. That's so funny that I would throw out my opinion without being asked. I'm working on that. Can you please put that in my performance review? Thanks.
We're going to
Appreciate
have
it.
Self-Awareness Journey podcast performance reviews now. We're going to do them right in the middle of summer, right when you're trying to not think about it. Okay.
Exactly.
Timing wasn't the point.
Oh, sorry. And we're back. All right. I'm totally with you.
The point was, so our HR team puts us together. For me, it's a little odd, right? Like, because everybody has like their manager. You know, it's like a conversation with their manager. There's like the employee fills out a side, the manager fills out a side. They get together, they talk about the differences in the answers, right?
Yep.
Mine's a little different because I don't really have a manager. But
No, you do not. This is not about if you should have one or not. This is just currently you do not.
I currently do not. But I did mine. And the first question on our performance reviews are, what are 2 to 3 key projects or goals that you accomplished in the last 9 months? I was like, okay, that's a good question. And so I was thinking about that. Like, I like how it's phrased. Like, what are the goals? But what I found myself being was like kind of critical about what I've done. I was like, oh, did I do anything in the last 9 months? Maybe I didn't really do anything. And
That's interesting.
I do a lot, right? Like my daily blocking
Yes.
and tackling is pretty high.
Yes, it is.
But it really got me thinking, like, did I move towards any major goals enough?
Can I ask you something? Because I'm really preoccupied with this question and having a hard time focusing.
Okay.
My preoccupied question is, you actually do your own performance review?
Okay, the way our performance reviews work is the employee answers the question and the manager answers the question, and then you come together and you have a conversation about like those maybe differences in those answers, the similarities in those answers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Who do you meet with?
Oh,
This is what I'm asking. Really? What? Who
well, then
do
I fill
you
out
meet
the
with?
other side. I fill out my own manager's side, and then have a conversation with myself about it. It's great.
And I take myself out for coffee.
We sit down and we have a real serious conversation with ourselves.
And I mean it. I'm very tough on it.
Sometimes it alternates. Like sometimes it's been with one of the presidents that runs one of the businesses. This year it was with Chris, our CFO.
Oh, well done.
Yes. So I try to get an external perspective, not just my own echo chamber perspective.
And I think this is also a little example of, being accountable to yourself, because this is an example where you really wouldn't have to be.
Totally. But I have to, for me, I have to be accountable to the organization.
Yeah.
Right. So
exactly.
Like who can do that for me? Our CFO is a great, perfect person to do that.
Yeah. I agree. And anyway, I wanted to ask that question, and I know it's a little distracting.
No, it's fine.
To this idea, but it's an interesting thing to think about as we're working on this idea of making, as we're self-reflecting. And it's, I think, even more important, the higher the stakes of what we're responsible for. I think it's very important to the collective.
Yeah.
Anyway, and we're back. Okay.
This idea.
I asked my question.
Well, you're talking about just generally this idea of feedback and performance. And another thing we do is we decouple salary and performance. Like these are not conversations in the same meetings or even at the same time. Like salary stuff is done, I think, like later, like maybe early winter. But performance stuff we always do now. And we decouple those things because they're not, even though a lot of times they are somewhat coupled.
Yeah, no, actually, they almost always are. And I think more and more people and organizations are separating those two things, which is a very progressive attempt at making it about getting better in your job.
Yeah, for us, it's about growth. Like how do we support people in growing?
Right. Okay, sorry.
This is gonna be a whole...
So keep going.
I want to talk about progress, and we're just talking about how performance reviews work.
Sorry,
it's okay.
Sorry, but it is important.
Well, there's interesting things in here because if we're really just talking about sticking on the idea of performance reviews, sometimes like they're great self-reflection. Like even going through and answering these questions for yourself. Even if you didn't have an external person answer them too and have that conversation, just the act of answering these is super helpful.
Well, see, that's what I was getting at. It's like if you really truly want to measure your own progress, doing something like that is very unusual.
You have to be
at your level. You have to choose that, and that's what I was calling out. It's like this is a marker for you to check your own progress, but a lot of people aren't going to do that. If they don't have to
be in a growth mindset, right?
Yes.
Like, that's the only way it works.
Yes.
You have to be self-motivated enough to be in a growth mindset.
100%.
And, sometimes when you get to certain parts in your career, you don't really want to be in a growth mindset. And again, that sounds a little judgy. It's not.
No, it's not. It just doesn't sound judgy. It's totally true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, even in my world, I will go through periods where I'm super into developing myself and super excited about growing some stuff. And there are other times where I'm just like, ugh, I'm not doing that. I don't want to. Why? I don't feel like it. I mean, that's human nature.
I'm perfect. There's nothing else to work on.
That is human nature, right? It's not just me being really, really, really wrong, right? But anyway, I do think, as you were illustrating, a performance review is one way to check your progress, one of many.
Yeah, because we've had lots of episodes, and you and I talk about goal setting and how do we get to the goals and what's the right size goal and all of that stuff, and then
right timing, exactly.
And then actually like walking the path on those goals is surprisingly hard.
Yep.
Because it's real easy to like set a goal, start working towards it, and then there's all these like little side paths that you take day after day, and all of a sudden you're like lost in the woods and you didn't get anywhere near your goal. You explored a lot of tributaries.
I learned other things I wasn't anticipating.
Yeah, right. So when I was asked, like, what were the 2 to 3 key projects or goals that I accomplished in the last 9 months, that's where I really had to zoom out, because I instantly was like, well, I did this little thing and that little thing and like all of this little detail stuff. I'm like, wait, did I do actually the really big things that I needed to do? And so for me, in the last 9 months, we had a key employee retire. So that was one of the big, like rearrange this organization.
Yeah.
Because he left some pretty big shoes to fill.
Yep. Exactly.
We launched a new product. So that was a big deal. And along with that, setting a new direction for that whole business. So those are like my 3 big projects, or my 3 big goals that I reflected on in my own performance review. And those were big. Those were great. I was like, oh, I did actually accomplish some stuff. I did accomplish my big goals.
Right.
But when I was thinking about my day-to-day, I was like, those things were not on my mind day-to-day. And I did a whole bunch of stuff that were not really in support of those things. But I felt really productive.
How you phrased that.
It's a whole checklist.
Got it.
Like, I don't know. Do you do checklists? I can't remember. Are you a checklist person?
No, I'm not. However, I do usually have, like, every day, I would say I have one main thing that I want to make sure I do.
Yeah.
That's more of my style. However,
it's a good style.
Well, is it? I'm not sure.
Well, I love checklists. Tons of people in our company love checklists. The checking off of a checklist item is so satisfying. To make it even worse, we use a tool a collaboration tool, because we're all remote, so we have to do this a lot of online collaboration. And when you check everything off on your checklist, like little confetti pops in it.
Oh my gosh.
Like in the software. It's awesome. So talk about a motivation to get everything done on your checklist. Now, the question is, are those the things you should be doing, or are you just checking stuff off on the checklist? And that's
because you want to see the confetti. Because you want to see the confetti.
Yeah. All I want is a little virtual celebration about how amazing I am. Every day. A couple times a day,
Good to
maybe.
know.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know.
I just make checklist items and then check it off just so I can see the confetti.
Hey, I kind of remember that, though, because when we were in our startup, we used Slack. Mm-hmm. And there was a ship it, what was it, a squirrel?
Yeah, we use a ship it squirrel. It's like a weird internet meme thing where when we release software.
When we would release something that all of a sudden a weird cartoon squirrel. What, was it cartoon or was it
it was a real picture. It was a picture of an actual squirrel, but he had like a shield and a hat on or something. I don't know.
And he was doing all these things.
Engineers
like, oh
are
my
weird.
God, look. Oh my God, so weird. I'm sorry, I'm sidetracked. But yeah, okay, so but the point is that I do remember this feeling of like this team celebration for the littlest things being accomplished. My apologies at minimizing, but we would accomplish these like little checklist things, and there would be like a big celebration. And honestly, I feel like that's about the only time in my life where I've actually celebrated little things like that.
Yeah. So there's so many times I think at work and even at home where I just like to check things off my list. I feel good that I check things off my list. I at home for sure, if I am anxious or nervous about anything, the way I express that is this is like my wife's loving phrase, by psycho cleaning our house. So what I'm doing is, instead of dealing with maybe a big issue or focusing on some higher level thing, what I'm doing is I'm psycho cleaning our house. But it feels good to me because I'm like checking things off. Like I'm like, this room's clean, that room's clean, laundry's done. That's and I like that. It feels good, but it distracts me from maybe my bigger goal or the thing that I should really be working on. Yeah,
I'm actually with you, because I think what you're referring to is busy work.
Busy work, yeah.
You're referring to practicing being busy in an inconsequential task that isn't actually moving you forward, but it's making you feel really good.
Yeah. And I think we do that quite a bit. Like I observe I observe people do that at work quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I certainly do it at home in my personal life. So that's kind of my question is like, how do we notice when we're kind of in that busy work and we're maybe even distracting ourselves from dealing with something? And how do we know when those things that we're doing are actually like getting us closer to our bigger goals?
So I was sitting here reflecting, and I'll admit I was feeling a little judgy at the beginning of the reflection, like that's just not what I do. Then I realized just yesterday, I had a huge write-up due. Okay, I had a write-up due, and it was a high stakes write-up. Two individuals that I've been coaching are both applying for a very big role. And it was time for me to do the executive coaching write-up of my experience with the two individuals. And so it was due yesterday. So what I did for about an hour was I watched YouTube videos. And they weren't related to any coaching methodologies whatsoever. They were 100% distractions. And then when I got up from doing that, I went and got some chocolate almonds. And then I played with my dogs for 10 minutes and talked to them about how big of a deal this writing was going to be. And I really, truly did that. And then I cleaned out my desk drawer because it was really messy.
Sounds like you are very busy.
I was so productive. My desk is gleaming. So you know what?
So it's like a procrastination 100%. Thing a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
I always think like the language we use sometimes is really interesting because the phrase busy hands are happy hands, right?
Oh.
Have you heard that?
Yeah, well, maybe.
Maybe you've heard that.
Busy hands, happy heart, I think is how I've heard it.
Yeah. Just the idea that like if you're busy, you're happy. That correlation between those two things.
Right.
Like there's a cultural thing happening there.
Yep, for sure.
And then even things like, like how do you get towards your goals? Like, one step at a time. It's just these ideas that like, if you just do some movement, do something, then things will happen. There is a lot of truth in that because a lot of people get paralyzed and don't actually do anything.
Yeah.
So there's that reaction. And then on the other side, there's a reaction that's like, I'll just do something, anything, and something will happen. And which also doesn't, like I call that wheel spin. Like a lot of people at work do wheel spin, which means like, we're really working a lot on something, but it actually doesn't get us to go anywhere. We're just spinning in the mud.
Yeah. And it's funny because in my coaching over the years, particularly there are pockets where you see a lot of activity with very little progress. And that would be when you have someone that is in specific to roles, you see someone that is in a role that is not well suited for them. And so they continually do things to look very busy. But they're all focusing on busy stuff that doesn't work. So like, for example, outside salespeople, okay? Outside salespeople have a very high expectation of being a hunter, doing hard things, banging on doors, getting them smacked in your face 10 times and still being willing to on the 11th try. Getting out, asking for business, being bold, asking for meetings. And a lot of times you'll see people that are not well suited for those roles that are in love with taking care of customers, but they don't want to go get the customers. So you'll see a lot of busy work. And oftentimes you can flesh out if somebody's really struggling in their role by how busy they look. What are you laughing at?
Those salespeople, their CRM software is up to date. They've got really good notes in there.
That's right.
Everything's very organized, which is the opposite
and they have no sales.
Yeah, which is the opposite of all the other sales team, who it's like an absolute disaster of notes, but they made their number.
Yes. I would like to say that my desk was always absolutely disgustingly dirty, and my inside salespeople were always chasing around me, collecting all the butterflies I was releasing with a million nets. So also maybe not great, but yeah, that's really true. I think there's certain places where sometimes I think we're procrastinating or we're busy working because we're just not ready.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, like that write-up, I just wasn't ready. I was formulating all these ideas in my mind. And so I think like the busy work externally was me also in my own mind, like framing certain examples, thinking about stories, thinking about, there's a lot of thinking that has to be done. And sometimes when we really have some big rocks to move mentally, I feel like we are externally doing all kinds of crazy stuff, like, on the outside.
That makes me feel so much better. I actually like do have like I procrastinate. I am a procrastinator. I sometimes call procrastination my superpower, which because I can pull like a rabbit out of a hat at the last second, like all the time. It's awesome. But I like your frame. I'm not procrastinating. I'm just not ready yet.
But there
but
is
actually
some
that's
of
totally
that.
true, because the whole time I am procrastinating, I am usually thinking very deeply about the thing. And the reason it comes out of a hat at the last second is because I've been thinking about it for the past, hours, days, weeks, months, right?
Yeah.
And that's just the last step.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that there is truth to that. And maybe that's because that is something that's your natural pattern for making progress. That could really, truly be it. And it's just like I always say, it's like any strength that you have becomes a liability if it's overused. So maybe if thinking and preparing for something is a real strength of yours, maybe it only becomes a liability when it's overused and you don't hit the targets that you're expecting to time-wise.
Yeah. Yep.
But sometimes I think, especially as you move up in level at work, and you move up in your role, I think it is required to have more white space on your calendar because there's all sorts of things that you're moving around that are more strategy related as opposed to more tactically related.
I 100% agree with that.
And so I think if you try to remain ultra productive and constantly moving, that's one of the major things that I end up coaching people that have just moved into new roles is that they feel like, no, this is my to-do list. This is what I've always done in my other role that made me feel like I was being successful. And when you move up, it's like you have to dump all sorts of that stuff out of your desk. You have to dump it out of your mind, out of your spirit, everything. You have to allow yourself to become the jack of all trades and the master of nothing. And people sure as heck don't like that. That makes them feel untethered. So it is a really interesting thing.
We see that all the time. New managers, like, all they want to do is continue being high output individual contributors, and it's really hard.
It's not. It doesn't help that. It doesn't help them, and it doesn't help the organization. So there is this balancing act, right?
And when you're so used to checking everything off your list, being a high output contributor, like it's a really hard transition. And frankly, that checklist stuff, the marking things off, shipping stuff out the door, all that stuff, it feels really good because you do get a huge dopamine hit from doing those things, right? You feel productive. Like there's some days where I'll come home, and even in my performance review, I told Chris, I don't feel that productive this quarter. And he goes, over the last 9 months. And he goes, JJ, what are you talking about? Like, look at where we got the company. The company was like way over here, and you got all of these major things accomplished. I'm like, I didn't really accomplish them. Everyone else accomplished them. So sometimes it's interesting how, was I the key part in moving the company forward? It's hard for me to say that I was. It's maybe easier for other people to put that attribution on me. But I so often look at like, well, what was my very tactical output on towards those things, and it wasn't a lot. Like all I said was, "Hey gang, we're going over here. Let's just make sure we're going over here." That's all I did.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but that's it. That's the white space that we're referring to, that has to happen. Everybody has a role.
Yeah.
You know, when you're looking at progress, at least at work, everybody has their own role. And even at home, you know, and even in your own life, your progress has a specific, there's roles that are played. And I think there's timelines that are in effect. There are different ways of thinking about things. And I think what, you know, this idea that you're talking about is like the busy work part.
Yep.
It's like sometimes there is busyness that's involved in progress, but not always. And it's, I think, being able to really discern that.
Yeah. So really stop.
Space.
Like when you're doing something, you know, it's so hard to do when you're in the middle of a project or cleaning your house. To stop and say, like,
psycho cleaning.
Is this what I should be doing? You know, asking that question, is this what I should be doing, or I want to be doing, or does this get me further towards my goals or what I want to accomplish, or is this just wheel spin and me just wanting to feel productive or feel good? And I'm not saying you shouldn't do those things to feel good.
No, exactly.
Like you,
I
you
think
should
it's.
totally
I think that's
do
an
those
important
things,
part,
but
actually.
If you get lost in those things, you might find yourself a year or two later not where you wanted to be.
Well, I really like this idea of reflecting on things after the fact as well. Like, you know, it's hard when you're in the middle. It's like very hard when you're in the middle because your brain's preoccupied with what is. And I think sometimes when you do look back, even if it's not required, just go, how did I show up? Was that reflective of what I thought I would do or what I was hoping I would do? Is that reflective of that? Or is this really a good time for me to shift something? Like, how can I do that? What could I do to be a little different? You had an accountability buddy that was not necessary in your process, but you chose that on purpose. And that was one example, you know? So I think there's a lot of examples that we have. So even if in the moment it's too hard, certainly reflecting is a great way to do that from what happened.
Yeah. Okay. So what you're saying is we shouldn't have performance reviews at like our house. Because this could work.
Oh my gosh. I was suggesting you go ahead and let the Tupperware drawer get real messy.
Just quit cleaning so much. Okay. Well, I like this. You know, whether it's at work.
Me too.
I mean, you know, work is such an easy context for this performance stuff, and like, are we headed towards the right goals? Because it's so easy to construct and kind of work towards. But I always love trying to apply this stuff to your own life.
I do too.
The idea, am I getting to where I want to be in life and hitting those goals? And what are those bucket list things that I want to do? Like, am I moving towards those bucket list things or not?
Exactly.
And that's a great exercise. And Eve, I was joking doing a performance review with your partner.
Yes,
but,
of course.
But I don't think it's not a bad conversation. It's a good conversation to have even with your partner.
Yeah, I agree.
Did you enjoy this episode? Please go to your favorite podcast platform to subscribe, rate, and leave a review so others can discover it as well. Growing self-awareness is a lifelong journey, and it's better when we're all in it together. Please think of someone you know who could benefit from hearing today's conversation, and share this episode with them.
We can't thank you enough for listening. Until next time, happy exploring.